Coming up on this edition of Cogeco News, the latest from the federal government in regards to some funding announcements regarding summer jobs for students, and more on corona testing going on, and a new coach for the Panther men's basketball team. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to this Thursday edition of Cogeco News. I am Greg Estabrooks. Earlier this week, the federal government updated some financial assistance packages for students in a summer jobs program. Now, that may seem a little odd with so many out of work due to the pandemic. To update us on this specific development and the federal government's COVID-19 committee work is House Speaker and Nipissing-Temiskaming MP Anthony Rota. He joins us via Skype from Ottawa.
Well, when you look at it, what happens is it's the COVID-19 committee, which is a hybrid committee. We will have approximately 50 members in the House, and the balance will be from home, from their offices, wherever they can get a good feed in and actually take part. We've got questions coming from across the country. And the topics that will be covered, they're difficult to say what it is because, I mean, we start off with statements by ministers. Then we have petitions being presented. We have questions of ministers that are on as well. And we have statements. So there's 4 topics that are being covered mainly. What gets covered in those topics really is up to the members. So the nice thing about this new iteration, it's starting as of yesterday, actually, and it keeps going until the 17th of June. And you can bring up any topic that's up there. It's not just one in particular. So depending on what ministers want to talk about, what opposition members want to question about, the topics can vary tremendously.
I wanted to ask, finally, the Prime Minister talked about summer jobs program, which I find kind of ironic in a pandemic. How can you move forward with that?
Well, there's different areas. There's the Canada Emergency Student Benefit, which will give students a certain amount of money and allow them to get some funding because, I mean, a lot of them are planning on going back to school. But the big thing here is there's a service grant as well, so they can volunteer and actually get some money as well. So that'll help students who don't quite qualify but help out in the community. And the Canada Summer Jobs has been expanded and it's out there. It used to cover about 70% of the amount paid to the student. Now it's as high as 100%, depending on certain criteria. But that's something that I encourage all students to go and check out. They can go to jobbank.gc.ca. So that's jobbank, jobbank.gc, as in Government of Canada.ca, and see a list of what's available in their area. And it'll help them get out there and earn some money so that when they go back to school, they can pay that tuition, pay for the residence, and get an education.
That sends us to today's COVID-19 by the numbers board from the North Bay Parry Sound and District Health Unit. Just 91 tests, 26 cases in all, and that remains steady. Resolved at 20 remains steady. The other numbers also unchanged from yesterday, as you can see on your screen. That's of today at 1 p.m. Well, from high death rates in long-term care homes, concerning levels of healthcare worker infections and low COVID-19 testing numbers, more than 2,200 Sudbury and North Bay residents were polled, and in the poll done by the hospital unions, it says the provincial government is underperforming in how it's dealing with the pandemic response. The Canadian Union of Public Employees, along with the Ontario Council of Hospital Unions, conducted said telephone poll recently. Joining me on the phone to discuss this further is Michael Hurley of the Ontario Council of Hospital Unions.
The North, I think, has been, and in fact, rural Ontario to some extent has been protected by your geography at this point. You know, travel has ceased. Only the most essential traffic is going between communities. Air travel on Greyhounds have stopped. You know, like the interaction is really ground to a halt. as Ontario reopens, then northern communities become at increasing risk because people will travel, right? This is also, as you know, a phenomenon in Quebec, where in fact the province blocked off physically with police rural parts of the province to prevent any interaction from the large urban settings into the rural, remote regions. But it's not something that is probably viable for the long term as a solution. What's really needed here is a vaccine and a ramping up of testing. Yeah, I think we've got lab capacity to do 5,000. I believe we reached 15 one day, but most of our test numbers are around 10,000 a day. And so, the problem with that, as we've discussed before, is that in other countries, like, for example, in Germany, in Vietnam, in South Korea, Taiwan, where they've been very effective at, limiting the number of deaths and the spread of the virus, they've done that by aggressive testing, identifying people who have the disease, and isolating them. And we have such a tiny sample every day of the population that it's impossible for the people fighting this pandemic to have a good handle on how widespread the problem is, and in particular amongst vulnerable populations. Like, for example, all of the patients at the North Bay Regional Health Centre should be tested, so should all the staff, but that has not happened yet. And that's, of course, true of all the hospitals across Ontario. Some patients and residents have been tested, but most have not. And then, of course, in long-term care, all the residents and all the staff have been tested, but that was a picture, if you want, on a specific period of time. But now, as the weeks go by, the validity of that is uncertain because people may have been exposed to the virus elsewhere now. And so you have to be doing this testing on an ongoing basis. So we're not, unfortunately, in an environment where we have reliable data because of the shortfall in the testing. Absolutely.
City Council did meet in a virtual manner on Thursday at noon, and they were done at 12:17. They did talk about a couple of issues. One we're going to deal with right now. It deals with sports and fields. There isn't much at all going on at Veterans Field, nor will there be for a while, but at least it will be better lit when they start playing ball again. In a virtual City Council meeting on Thursday, it was decided that new lights are in order. It's a pricey little deal at over $800,000, and it will be invested, obviously, with more improvements to come.
From staff that the existing sports field lighting system at Veterans has reached end of service life. The current light fixtures are old technology. They're difficult to replace. The concrete poles are tilting, and damage from salt penetration has been noted along the base of a number of the existing poles. Parts salvaged from the current lighting system at Veterans will be used to maintain other existing sports field lighting systems and hopefully push off some of those repairs a little bit further into the future. The awarded bid price is $849,300 to local supplier Bernard Rochefort Limited. Funding details, funding the lighting upgrade to the city will be used using funds previously allocated to Lennox Field and Graham Field. The parts recovered from veterans will be reused as spares. This is considered a prudent use of city funds, and the work is certainly needed.
Consulted with North Bay Minor and Men's Senior Baseball Leagues on a design to redevelop Veterans Baseball Field with the end goal to improve and enhance the overall playability of the field for all baseball users. Upgrades to the field included drainage, irrigation systems, the outfield, the pitcher's mound, the home plate areas, fencing and warning track. Synthetic turf was installed in the infield. Existing bleachers and players' benches have been replaced. Rehab of the Veterans Baseball Field project will be completed once the lighting system is replaced. Veterans Field will be lit by state-of-the-art LED technology that includes a wireless control system, which enables staff the ability to monitor and control the system remotely.
Before we go, one quick municipal note to put in, rather an important one. Beaches are going to be open. The weather will not be that great this weekend at all, but indeed the city has decided they will be open, all municipal beaches this weekend. But again, social distancing is also in mandate as well for families who go to the beach beginning on Friday, May 29th. When we come back, the latest and some good news from those who want to get a pet from the people who have the pets at the Humane Society. That after this. Welcome back, everybody. After that award-winning throw to break to talk about the Humane Society and Pet of the Week, we are back. After the better part of 2 months, yes indeed, the North Bay District Humane Society is opening up the animal adoption process, which is great news, even though the coronavirus pandemic is still continuing. Clark Eipel was outside the Humane Society at 2060 Main West before the rain hit and has this important update.
Hard work pays off. That is certainly a useful idiom, and that can certainly be applied to the staff here at the North Bay District Humane Society. For the past better part of 2 months, adoptions have been on hold due to the coronavirus pandemic. That hold has been lifted as of this Thursday afternoon. Great news for the welfare of animals in our community.
All smiles, really optimistic right now. So we are intending on opening up our adoption program this week. So we are going to be operating on a very limited basis. So we don't want people swarming the shelter or, really encouraging, packs of people to come by and socialize with the animals. The building is still going to be off limits to the public, but we wanted to feature cats like Tucker here, who are going to be up for adoption in the very near future. So watch the website, keep an eye on things because we are up and running again.
How have you been able to keep the population relatively steady amid the coronavirus pandemic when no animals are being moved to forever homes?
So we're really optimistic here at the North Bay Humane Society because we've got a lot of friends in the community, in the province, and even outside of the province that are really willing to lend a hand. So there are certain organizations that operate on a much lower schedule than we would. So, foster-based rescues, they're able to do virtual adoptions, meet with people on a one-on-one basis, social distance, that sort of thing, where it's a little bit more difficult for buildings like this where we're in a closed-off room. We don't have the option of really social distancing at this time. So really encouraging people to reach out to those smaller situations that are able to help bigger organizations like us. So we would transfer out groups of animals to the organizations that could deal with a one-on-one basis. So we're really hoping, again, at the North Bay Humane Society that we're going to start up very, very small, but encouraging people to come in and potentially adopt, reach out to the website as well, because that's going to be where everything's going to start. So these little guys are going to be featured on the website in very, very short order, and we're really optimistic that things are going to go well.
What's the, I know it's good, makes it sound a little bit cold, but what's going to be the transaction process? Are you going to have a schedule like oil changes where people come in for an hour and get a cat?
Yeah, definitely. So we're not doing drive-by cat adoptions just yet, but we've toyed with the idea for sure. So a lot of what we're going to be doing is appointment only. So people are going to be encouraged to call ahead, regardless as to what the reason that you want to attend at the North Bay Humane Society. Call ahead, get the information, new rules and regulations for drop-off, pickup, questions, socializing with the animals, that sort of thing. So the dog walking and cat socialization has not opened up to the public yet, so that's all in the near future, but the new rules and regulations are not going to offer people the ability to just knock on the door and come into the Humane Society. So really call first and make that appointment.
That telephone number is 705-474-1251, or you can visit the shelter online at northbaydistricthumanesociety.com. Reporting for Cogeco News, I'm Clark Heipel. Let's skip on back to 240 Fee Street, where we find our Greg Estabrooks.
You know, if you think those cats are quick chasing the string down there, you see Clark chasing the string around the newsroom. Mr. Heifel has the weather and a contest update right after this.
That's what I call it.
Weather is brought to you by Canadore College. Great things happen here.
Welcome back to Cogeco News. I'm Clark Heipel here for your 5-day weather forecast brought to you by Canadore College, and likely the last day reporting from Phoenix North as the temperature is quite humid late morning on this Thursday. On this day, we continue our series over the next couple weeks, Streets You Didn't Know Existed. Well, at least 2 families here in North Bay know this street exists because their houses are on it. Someone says, meet me on Tilley Street. Where would you go? Would you go to Airport Hill? Would you go to Pinewood Park Drive area? Hello. Would you go to Birchhaven? No. You would go to the Pinewood neighborhood because that is where I'm standing here to deliver your 5-day weather forecast. Temperature is going to cool off in the coming hours and possible thunderstorm risk as a cool, cold weather system is moving on in, dispersing the hot, humid air. Let's take a look at that 5-day forecast brought to you by our friends at Canadore College and presented to you by Environment Canada. Heading overnight on this Thursday night, there is a risk of a thunderstorm. The rain's going to be falling and falling heavy at times, 5 to 10 millimeters of rain as we go overnight. The temperature remains steady as we fall to 15, and that steady 15 continues into Friday, the 29th of May, the last Friday of May. Hard to believe June is right around the corner, that corner being this weekend. Rain and possible thunderstorm on Friday, 10 to 15 more millimeters of rain. If we get the upper limits of those two thresholds, a rainfall warning may be placed. Temperature steady, as mentioned, 15 degrees, and we drop to a single-digit low of 9 degrees on Friday night. Looking ahead to Saturday now, cloudy skies will persist with a high of 12 and a low of just 2 above freezing. Sunday now, you can take it quite literally. We have a high of 14 with a beautiful sunny sky and a low of 4. And the first day of June, June the 1st, June bugs will be happy about that. High 17, low 7, mix of set and cloud. Turning the page back to the almanac, wow. Phoenix North on Wednesday reached 32.2. We will round down. The low on Thursday was 17.1. We will round down. The normals for this time of May, 20 and 8. A little bit of exciting news to announce. HANDS, the Family Help Network, has announced the top 3 winners in the Family Photo Contest celebrating Mental Health Week. First place, Erin Graham Mitchell received a $500 gift card to a local business for her photo depicting her family band. Second place, a $300 gift card to a local business. Lisa Johnson, the winner of second place. Photo of her family enjoying some outdoor adventures. Third place, $200 gift card, Jillian Dupuis, for her photo showing her family, quote-unquote, rocking it in a natural playground. Congratulations to all the winners. Well, that does it for your 5-day weather forecast. Our Greg Estabrooks is healing up in studio. He's back with your sportscast right after this very short break.
Sports is brought to you by Tag Construction for all your construction needs.
Welcome back, everybody. 33-year-old North Bay native Stephen Hong has been named the new head coach of the Canadore Panthers men's basketball team. His new job comes after serving as an assistant coach for the Nipissing Laker men's basketball program for the better part of a decade.
House League, NDA, OUA, and now CIS. At just 33 years old, Stephen Hong has coached many levels of basketball in North Bay. He was just named the new head coach of the Canadore Panthers.
I think with my experience with the youth sports helps a lot. You know, I had a great time at Nipissing University being the assistant coach with Thomas Corey and Coach Chris Chang. So with that and my connection with the North Bay basketball community, I think just that alone itself makes me the best candidate for this position.
Former Nipissing Lakers men's basketball coach Chris Chang, you had a relationship with him, and I'm very proud to say that I had time to associate with him, a gentleman and a great coach. What did you learn off him?
I learned a lot from him, not just being a coach, but also being a leader, a teacher, and a person as well. I'm always so grateful to be his assistant coach and I always, to this day, still connect with him at least once or twice a week. Just how's his family doing, how's the program doing, and I think we're going to continue that as I get to be a head coach now in this position.
Do you enter with a 5-year plan, 3-year plan?
Right now, I probably enter, probably a 3-year plan, with the programs that Candor offers. Usually they're about a 2-3 year plan programs. So hopefully you just got to go right away. You got to establish a program, build the culture, and make sure that it's stressed to these student athletes. That academics is important, but also I want to stress that they're going to get better and have fun as student athletes. And also another big thing is I want to connect with the North Bay community as well.
Do you find that now is the time to strike while the iron's hot for young basketball players, with the Raptors having won the championship?
I think absolutely. Me being a huge fan of the Toronto Raptors, this is just one of those things. You get to have another passion for being involved with basketball, and especially to do it in your hometown and be a part of this Candor Panther family. I'm happy to be a part of it.
Congratulations, buddy. Baseball is still playing the waiting game, Major League Baseball. So it's basically hurry up and wait. The broadcast crew, though, is still working. Joe Siddle, a Windsor native and a Blue Jay analyst for years. Siddle talked a little baseball and baseball movies with your TV Windsor's Robert Scoozlin.
And we weren't sure how this was going to go. We got sent home right around the middle of March when Major League Spring Trainings shut down. And when we came home, we were literally just told to kind of sit tight and we're going to see how this goes. Well, after a couple of weeks, the decision was made that Jamie Campbell and I are still doing our Blue Jays Central show, but we're doing it virtually online. And we've produced a show a week that is not going on to television just yet because there's nobody, I don't believe, in the Rogers studios in Toronto. So we're doing it online. They're posting it on sportsnet.ca. I think we've done 3 or 4 shows now, and the plan is to continue with that. And at least the last couple have gotten a little bit more interesting for us because we got to talk some baseball, because the baseball talks are increasing, not so much about the pandemic, but where baseball may go in these next couple of months, because the discussions are happening more and more, and they're getting a little bit more pertinent to baseball being played back on the field. And so fingers are crossed for all of us.
Any particular baseball movie you'd like to see?
I've seen some on there. I was a big fan of The Natural, and the reason is I played in the minor leagues, a friend of mine by the name of Chris Pollock. Well, his dad was Bernie Pollock, the costume designer in Hollywood, and his uncle was Sidney Pollock, obviously produced a lot of movies. Well, we went out, my wife and I went out to visit him. He lived out in LA at the time. This is back still in our playing days.
Love The Natural. Clark needs to see it. All right, that's it for news, weather, and sports for this Thursday. More Cogeco news live at 5 on Friday.